Silence makes people uneasy for a reason. In a culture conditioned to constant explanation, instant reactions, and non-stop communication, silence is often misread as weakness or uncertainty. When you don't rush to respond, people assume you have nothing to say, nothing to defend, or nothing to stand on. But silence isn't a lack of power, it's the restraint of it. It removes emotional leverage, disrupts familiar dynamics, and forces others to reveal more than they intend. In this video, we break down why silence is one of the strongest tools of influence, and how those who master it often gain control without ever raising their voice. Number 1. Silence removes emotional leverage. Silence removes emotional leverage because most interactions are driven by emotional exchange rather than logic. Many people provoke, question, or apply pressure not to understand you, but to elicit a reaction they can read, measure, and use. The moment you respond impulsively or begin explaining yourself, you hand them information and control. Silence immediately interrupts that process. Without your reaction, others lose their ability to steer the interaction emotionally. They can't gauge your intent, anticipate your next move, or escalate the situation in familiar ways. This lack of feedback creates discomfort because uncertainty removes the emotional footing they rely on. Instead of guiding the exchange, they're forced to confront the absence of influence. Silence doesn't weaken your position or signal submission. It quietly reverses the dynamic. When you remain still and composed, the pressure shifts outward. The other person begins adjusting, overcompensating, or revealing more than they intended. In that moment, power no longer belongs to the one who demands engagement, but to the one who can remain unaffected. Silence becomes leverage, not through dominance, but through restraint. Number 2. Silence forces people to reveal themselves. Silence has a way of unsettling people because it removes the usual cues they rely on to feel in control of an interaction. When you stop filling the space with explanations, reassurance, or emotional responses, others instinctively rush to fill that gap themselves. They begin talking more than necessary, over-explaining their intentions and justifying positions you never challenged. In the absence of your reaction, their inner state rises to the surface. Silence functions like a mirror, reflecting insecurities, motives, and emotional tension that would have remained hidden if you had spoken too soon. The quiet creates psychological pressure, and under that pressure, people reveal far more than they intend to. Every additional word they offer becomes information about what they value, what they fear, and where they feel uncertain. While they expose themselves, you gain clarity. You're no longer reacting, you're observing. This is where silence shifts from restraint to advantage. It doesn't weaken your position. It strengthens it by allowing you to see the situation as it truly is, rather than through emotional noise or forced dialogue. Number 3. Silence disrupts expected dynamics. Most social and relational dynamics are quietly built on expectation, not logic. Who speaks first? Who explains more? Who feels pressure to smooth things over? These roles are often assigned without anyone saying a word. Over time, people come to rely on predictable reactions to maintain control and emotional balance. Silence disrupts that entire structure. When you don't respond the way someone expects, the script breaks. You're no longer defending your position, chasing approval, or justifying your choices. The familiar rhythm disappears, and with it, the leverage they thought they had. This is where the shift happens. As expectations collapse, uncertainty enters the interaction, and uncertainty transfers control to the person who can remain calm within it. Silence isn't indecision or avoidance. It's composure. It's a deliberate refusal to engage in a dynamic that requires you to give more than you receive. By staying quiet, you step out of the role others assigned you and reclaim authorship over the interaction itself. Number 4. Silence signals self-assurance. Silence is one of the clearest signals of self-assurance, yet it's rarely recognized as such. People who lack confidence feel an almost constant need to explain themselves, justify their choices, and rush to be understood or approved of. They mistake visibility for security and noise for strength. Silence communicates the opposite. It signals that you trust your position enough not to defend it unnecessarily, that you're comfortable letting outcomes unfold without forcing agreement or validation. When you don't feel compelled to respond immediately, over-clarify your intentions, or correct every assumption, you demonstrate internal stability. This quiet confidence is often misunderstood and mislabeled as arrogance, distance, or emotional coldness, but it doesn't come from indifference. It comes from self-trust. Silence says you don't need to convince anyone of who you are because your actions, boundaries, and consistency already speak for you. It shows that you're not negotiating your worth in real time. And in a world where insecurity is loud and approval-seeking is constant, that kind of restraint doesn't weaken your presence, it amplifies it. Number 5. Silence creates scarcity. In a world saturated with constant noise, opinions, and emotional overexposure, silence becomes increasingly rare, and rarity always creates value. When you don't feel the need to respond immediately, explain every decision, or engage in every interaction, your presence becomes selective rather than predictable. That selectivity changes how people perceive you. Your words carry more weight because they aren't diluted by overuse, and when you do speak, people listen more closely. Silence creates psychological scarcity, and scarcity naturally redirects attention toward what is withheld rather than what is constantly available. Without saying a word, you shift the dynamic. Others begin to lean in, question their assumptions, and assign more importance to your input. Respect increases not because you demanded it, but because your restraint signaled self-control and confidence. Silence removes the need to compete for attention and places you outside the noise. In social, professional, and personal settings, this quiet restraint often becomes leverage, allowing you to influence outcomes without chasing validation, asserting dominance, or explaining yourself at all. Silence is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. Most people are conditioned to believe that power comes from reaction, explanation, or constant engagement, when in reality, silence creates leverage. Those who depend on emotional responses feel unsettled when they can't provoke one, while those who understand influence recognize silence immediately. You are not obligated to respond instantly, justify your choices, or grant unrestricted access to your emotional state. Silence isn't about avoidance or withdrawal, it's about intention. It's choosing where your energy goes and refusing to waste it on unnecessary exchanges. And once you become comfortable with silence, the need to prove yourself disappears entirely.